Hey there, good evening and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. This is the show that's dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here on day 31, the final day of our series, Progressive Rock Albums from the 1980s. So for those of you who don't know, it's basically a one and done type of thing. I have 31 progressive rock bands and 31 progressive rock albums. None of these albums I ever listened to before I did this series, and basically I'm just giving you my opinion on them. So all the bands, either the ones that I've known for a very long time, the ones that I've known for a fairly long time, some of them I've just heard of and some that I've never heard of, are all on this. And I've kind of tried to space them out. The last few have been kind of bunched up because there's a lot from that neo-prog era, the second wave of progressive rock that came out in the early 1980s, and it's understandable. I like that kind of music quite a bit, so it's going to be well represented here. And it's going to be represented again today by the last band on this list, which is called Twelfth Night, and the album is 12, or Roman numeral 12, X double ones. Album came out in 1986. And it has 9 tracks on it. Basically, a much heavier album than some of the predecessors from this era. Starts out fairly heavy, and it stays fairly heavy, but there's some pop elements to it as well. The vocalist has almost, if I was going to compare him to another vocalist, it would be the guy from Saga. He has an almost Saga-like voice, but a little bit different. It doesn't remind me, it reminds me of the guy from Saga, but doesn't really sound like him. Like, you can tell the difference, but he is within that range anyways. So what about this album? Okay, it's pretty heavy on the riffing and beats. Lots of heavy riffing and beat. The bass player is very forward in this band. Guitar player is pretty good too, but the bass player is right at the front. Very strong bass player. Heavy, you couldn't miss him. Be like a truck at the front of the stage. Anyways, some pretty solid stuff. I think it's stronger on the first part of the album, first half of the album, and then it gradually weakens, but it's not a bad album by any stretch. The last song, it was the longest song on the album, I kind of gave it like a 5 or 6. For some bands, longer songs usually mean a lot better instrumentation and some unseen stuff that's happening. For this, it's just more of the same, so actually the 4 to 5 minute songs seem to work better for this band. So it opens pretty much with a heavy guitar riff at the beginning, and the keys join in. It's a heavy beat, and you're going to find this common trend throughout all the songs on this album. And the bass is really forward again, like I said. The vocals are in a tenor range, and it's a male vocalist, of course, very, very strong vocalist, and having that kind of Saga range that he's in. Doesn't sound like that guy, but has that kind of range. Very upbeat, heavy guitars, and just a pretty rockin' song. I gave it an 8. It's probably my favorite track on the album. From this point on, it's a slow downhill, but it doesn't go downhill. It's not going down like a rocket. It's a nice slow grade. Second song, which is called Pressure. That song was called Last Song. The next song is called Pressure. Keyboard and guitar bit at the opening. A little bit foreboding. Nothing like really prolonged. Vocals are kind of metal-like he's at the higher end in this particular song. The bass is, again, very forward and top shelf. He's a really good bass player, this guy. Some metal-like guitar solos here too, so not too bad. And then it goes down a little bit more, so you go to the jungle. Kind of a... Sounds like a train at the beginning of the song. A train's coming in and stopping at the station. That's what it sounds like. And there's some really vibro sound with keys in it. So I'm not sure what that is. Bass is again frontal again, very strong on this particular track. Yeah, overall pretty strong. The vocalist and the bass player are pretty forward in this. I'm not going to say much more about that in the other songs just because it's pretty much the same in all the tracks. The Craft is next. I gave that a 7 as well. Nice piano and keyboard intro. Very, very subdued vocals here. I'm not really sure why, but he's kind of a little bit down on this particular song, like quiet. And then it just stops like that, and then there's a kind of a xylophone, kind of xylophone or vibraphone bit that goes on. It's kind of cool. It's different. They didn't have it on any of the previous songs. Next song is called Blue Powder. Blue Powder Monday. I had to change the word. I had written it too far over. It was taking up too much space. Some very mellow keyboards and organ on this particular track. Then some heavy parts in the guitar bit, and the solo is with keys is pretty nice on this particular track. I would say vocals again mid tremor range. I'll drop the glasses. Doesn't matter. I won't need them anyways. Next track is called Shame. This is where it starts to go down a bit. Guitar and synthesizer opening. It's kind of a very heavy riffing beat and bass and drums part here. It's kind of a poppy upbeat song, so even though they're heavy, they kind of mellow just slightly and it becomes more of a poppy beat with some guitar riffing towards the end of the song. Nice song though. Shame. And then this War. Again, some heavy drums and guitar at start. The vocals are a little bit popish and new wave-ish on this track, not as a Saga-like, but more new wave-ish sounding. And it just fades at the end, towards the end. And then the last song is Take a Love. Okay, this is the longest track. I don't know how long it is, but I was guessing it's maybe 10 or 11 minutes. Some quick keyboard bits with dark synthesizer at the beginning. Not quick, quiet. A little quiet keyboard bits, and then this dark kind of synthesizer bit when they open. Builds into a pretty heavy guitar and bass beat that goes on throughout most of the song. They go up and down. Some of the parts are more mellow. Some are a little bit higher. So overall, not a bad tune. The best thing about these guys is the bass is very frontal with this group. The vocalist is pretty powerful, and they tend to like to have upbeats and pretty forward upbeats, like they dominate most of the track. So for a progressive rock band, some of these other bands from that neo-prog era, you can see their roots are connected with Genesis and that. With these guys, not so much. If anything, they may be a little bit more connected with Asia than they are with these other bands. But they certainly fall well within the realm of the neo-prog bands of that time era. Like they're not so far out different that they're not considered part of it. I think they're definitely considered part of it. They just have more of a upbeat tempo and an upbeat beat to everything that they do, So not a bad album by any stretch. I think it's a good album to end with. Day 31 is now officially over. I hope you liked this video and say that again. I hope you liked the video and I hope you liked this whole series. It was fun to do. And later today will come the final bit of the series, which is a ranking of all 31 of these albums based on the one listen as to how I like them. Pretty much, what I did is I put them in either top category, medium category, or low category, and I'll sort them from that. That way, at least I have some general idea of what I like about them. And then it'll be a bit difficult because there's several here that I like quite a bit, and then there's quite a few that I'm not really crazy about it all. So it'll be the lower end and the higher end of the rankings are going to be a bit tougher. But I think it'll be fun to do, and it's kind of a nice way to end it so that everybody kind of gets an overall feel about how I felt about most of the albums. And you know, if you want to give a ranking on how you felt about these albums as well, if you've been following along, by all means do so. It would be great. So anyways, please like, subscribe, and it's much appreciated. And we'll be back with the rankings later today, and then a new series coming out. For those of you who don't know, I haven't said anything. I had a couple of series in mind, but I decided to go with one that Ben has suggested to me because it makes more sense. We've been doing a lot of fairly lengthy videos and stuff, and I need a kind of a break from it. And you probably need more of a break than I do from listening to me. Not that I'm bad, but you know, 10 and 15-minute videos are pretty long, I think. So anyways, we're going to be doing a kind of battle of the bands, or the battle of the albums, a progressive rock battle of the albums. The name of the series, I wrote it down, but I forgot. So when it comes out, you get to know. So the first day of that series will be a kind of setup of how this is all going to run. And then we'll just do the videos as we go, each day, all the way up to day number 30, I believe, and then the last day will be kind of a recap of everything and how people actually felt about these bands overall, and that'd be great. But when I get to that, I'll know more about what I want to do. But in the meantime, that's going to be the series for the month of January. I'm looking forward to doing that. Me and Ben have been back and forth, emailing back and forth about it, and what he's going to contribute and what I'm going to contribute and how we're going to run it, or how I'm going to run it anyways. And I hope that you'll come in for that. It'd be fun to do. Something a little bit different, and it's maybe a little bit lighter for the January months. We got to keep it light, right? It's dark and gloomy out there. No more. Okay, so have yourself a good night, and we will see you for this video, for the favorites video, my rankings a little bit later today. Take care.